Hello everyone, how are you all? Welcome to the CA Final Indirect Taxes Batch SAFAL. Hi, my name is CA Riddhi Bagmar Singhvi and I qualified Chartered Accountancy in May 2022. After that, I completed my CFA, all three levels in first attempt. I am also a gold medalist in BCom, Gujarat University with all Gujarat rank 3. I guess that much is enough. Also, I scored 82 marks in my CA final IDT examination. So, before we even begin this batch, I want you all to keep this target in your mind that yes, at least 83 plus is what we are aiming. In last attempt, one of our students has scored 87 marks, and last attempt, IDT paper was quite tricky as well as the checking was kind of tough. So, 87 are probably near to India highest only. Yes. Hi guys. Chalo. So we'll just quickly discuss something about the batch, how we are going to take it forward, how we are going to complete the syllabus, what will be the way which we'll solve the questions, understanding everything. We'll see one by one. So the batch is named as batch SAFAL. SAFAL means success. So surely we are all going to get success. The target is to complete entire IDT in 100 hours. Even if you have never heard about IDT, as such IDT was there in CA Inter also, but still if you have forgotten everything, you have zero articleship exposure in indirect taxes, then also this batch is 100% completely relevant for you all. This is not a fast track batch, not exam oriented, no power. This is a pure regular batch of CA final indirect taxes. Ma'am, how is this possible? It's been 4 attempts. I am taking IDT and every attempt my batch duration is somewhere between 100 to 110 hours only. And every single student at the end of the lectures is satisfied that yes ma'am, we have covered everything right from scratch along with question answers. How is this possible? You will get to know along with the lectures. It is due to some reasons. One of the reason being we use our handwritten notes. I will show you the notes also, and probably because you've already ordered the lecture, so you would also have received the hard copy of the handwritten notes. That is the major reason we are able to complete the classes in less number of hours, because I myself have set for like approximately 200 to 300 hours and I have written that entire book on iPad. It is not that the font is handwritten, the entire book is actually handwritten, which means it is the only notes that you are going to refer for your examination, nothing else. This 385 approximate pages of book is what you are going to refer now when we are studying for the regular first time. Later when you'll do your first revision, then later when we'll take marathons on YouTube, then later again one day before examination. So this book you're going to revise almost 4 to 5 times during your journey before your CA final examinations, which will ensure that you remember everything 100%. Even some of my students text that ma'am, we even remember the color of the font that you had used, that it was on the right side of the page, on the upper right corner, on the lower left corner. So that will be the precision with which the notes will come in front of your eyes when you close your eyes once we study. Alright, so we are going to study from this handwritten notes only. If you complete this handwritten notes along with me, there is no other material that you are required to refer. Even if you do not touch ICI SM, it is completely okay, because all the content contained in the ICI SM is covered in our notes, and second, all the questions that are given in the ICI SM are also covered in our question bank. So no need to touch module once we complete entire SAFAL lectures. What about questions, ma'am? Questions also you would have received question bank. So it is approximately 550 pages of the question bank that we are going to solve in the class itself. Means hardly there would be 1, 2 or 3 questions in every chapter that I would give you homework, because they would be of similar nature that we've done in class. Otherwise than that, almost 95% of the question bank is solved in class itself in these 100 hours. Okay, ma'am. What is the approach that we follow for the classes? The approach is very simple. I will explain you the provision. We will go through the provision from the handwritten notes. We will revise it and then solve questions. Every single day before starting with further topic, we will always, I repeat, always revise whatever we have studied in the earlier class. I promise you this thing, that by end of these SAFAL lectures, even without me putting extra efforts or even without you putting extra efforts, you will be able to remember all the section numbers. Students keep asking me that, ma'am, is it required to write section number in examination? Is it required to write section number in examination because this is GST law? I always answer them, if you are my student, you will automatically remember section numbers, because that is how we take the flow. That is how I always try that by giving some or the other story, mnemonic or doing something, I am sure that you remember all these section numbers. But yes, it is not compulsory to write section number in the examination. It is completely fine if you don't mention the section numbers, but that problem will not arise for you because you will 100% be able to remember the section numbers. So the approach is very, very simple. I'll explain you the provision. We will go through the handwritten notes, we'll revise it, solve the questions, and then we will again revise it. That is how we are going to do. Okay, ma'am. What about doubt solving? You will be mailed with a specific batch telegram group, where in that group only the SAFAL batch students are joined. So it will be highly recommended that you post all of your doubts in that telegram group only. We have a common telegram channel which is named as CA Riddhi Bagmar. So there is a channel on Telegram, CA Riddhi Bagmar, where I put MCQs for practice or any of the general update, motivation, or about any upcoming batch or about revision videos. Everything is shared here. But this Telegram group, that you will receive a mail in 1 or 2 days. For the live students, recorded students, you would have already received the mail. So for this group, you will receive a link on the mail that you have to compulsorily join and post any of your subject specific doubt here. Within 24 hours, I will reply personally if any student has not replied to it. And in 1 day, all of your doubts will be solved. If there is something that you are not comfortable asking in the group, you can always drop me a DM or a WhatsApp. 9714111666 is my personal number. I request you to not call in on this number, because this is my personal number, my one and only number, where my mother even calls, my husband even calls, and student even call. So it is not possible for me to pick up your call all the time. You can, however, anytime drop me a WhatsApp or a text that, ma'am, I want to connect with you over call. I will 100% make sure that I give you some time and we can connect over call. Otherwise, message you can any day drop. But if it is some subject specific query, please make sure you are dropping it in the batch specific Telegram group only. Other than that, if you have any technical issue, if you have any technical issue like your browser is stuck, your lecture is not playing, you are not able to connect the live stream or anything like that, please do not text me. Because I am in the lecture, I cannot resolve your issue real time. You have to text on 922-922-3040. You can call here anytime, that is absolutely not a problem. This is office technical team number. So this is tech number where you can call for any of your query anytime. This is my number. Even if you text me for any of the technical query, I will give you this number only to contact further. So it makes no sense for you to text me for any of the technical query that you are facing. Other than that, this is our common general number 95845100100. This is front desk number. I request you all to please note all the 3 numbers just in case throughout the batch you are facing any issue. This is my number. Anything subject related or anything you are not able to plan how to do, what to do. Once when you write the test, you want me to see your test papers or you want me to provide any of the feedback, anything like that, you are not feeling motivated enough, whatever it is, you can always get in touch with me here. If there is anything technical related, please text on or call on this number. And this is general number for anything that you need. Let's say you've ordered books, you have not received the books that you have received, let's say got damaged in transit, or any of the issue, even for any technical issue also, you can contact on this number. You can call, text, whatever you want. This number is all the time open 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The staff is there in the office 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. where you can connect with them for any of the query that you are facing. Done, ma'am. So I will 100% be in touch with you all the time. So absolutely no problem with respect to doubt solving. Material, we need only two material, one handwritten notes and one question bank. That is all. It covers entire IDT, and my students have scored 87, 88, 89 marks also in examination. Even last attempt we got AIR 21 who scored 87 marks. Previous attempt we also got AIR 4. Saad, yes, his name was Saad, AIR 24 in November 23, AIR 4 in November 23 examinations. More than AIRs, we have students who have been struggling for multiple attempts, 3, 4, 5 attempts, who've connected with us, joined our SAFAL batch and are able to clear, and I'm more than happy for them, even compared to ranks, because those were the students who were in genuine need to clear. So yes, you are in safe hands, absolutely no worries at all. Okay, ma'am. What material we are supposed to bring in the batch every day when we come for the class? Of course, our handwritten notes, the question bank, one notebook you need to maintain. Not a big notebook, just 50 pages notebook would be enough. That is all, yes. A simple 50 to 100 pages notebook would suffice, because I don't make you write much, and that is where we save time. I have myself written everything in the handwritten notes. Then what is the need for you to write again? Rather than that, we will use that time to revise things multiple times. In fact, for every single provision, I promise you today only, first day of the lecture, that every single section and provision we are going to revise at least thrice in these 100 hours. Means some days you will only say that, ma'am, bus, enough, you are making us revise this 3, 4, 5 times. Yes, because my ultimate aim is not just to make you understand the subject, I also want you to learn the subject along with me only. So no much writing, we'll revise things again and again. So a 50 to 100 pages book would be more than enough just for you to note down any of the charts or examples or any summary that you want to write. You have to bring rough pages every day. At least 4 to 5 rough pages, or you can simply maintain 100-200 pages rough book. Why? Because I don't make you write, but I make you scribble. We'll keep scribbling all the time. Like once we complete a section, we revise it, we make a summary of it, and it is not for you to refer later, because whenever you're referring, you will refer from the handwritten notes only. This is just for your writing practice during the lectures, that you will understand once we complete 3, 4, 5 lectures that what I make you write in the rough sheet. But yes, every day you should have a rough sheet along with you. Then of course, since we are attending tax lectures, you need to bring a calculator, you need to bring a pen, you can bring sticky notes or whatever if you want to make some short summaries and stick it in your handwritten notes. Other than this, nothing is required. Ma'am, what about amendments? What about amendments? This batch is going to be completely 100% amended for November 24 students, which means all the amendments which have come till 30 April 2024 are going to be covered in this batch. Also for May 2025 attempt, because by the time we complete the batch, we will be somewhere near the cutoff date only. So all the amendments that come up to 30 October 2024 will be applicable for May 2025 examination. So during the course of the lectures, if there is something that is relevant for May 25 examination, I will 100% notify that thing to you, that this amendment has already come for May 25. If your exam is in November 24, you need not worry about anything. Not a single amendment will be required to be referred later by you. Everything, 100%, everything will be covered for November 24 examination. If your exam is in May 25, it might be possible that you would be required to watch some 1 or 2 hours amendment lecture other than this lectures. But still, this batch remains 100% relevant for May 25 students also. Not more than 1 or 2 hours of amendment lecture you will get. Other than that, everything will be covered. So the batch is relevant for all November 24, May 25 onwards students. No problem of amendments. Everything is 100% amended and covered in the notes. So we've discussed about material, about doubt solving, about amendments. Any other query that you have with respect to batch, please ask me. Otherwise, we proceed further with the subject. About myself, I've already said. About batch, we've already discussed. Duration, 100 hours. Every day, we will have approximately 2.5 hours of a lecture. So almost in 40-42 days, we will complete the entire batch. Right, ma'am. This was all that I am going to deliver to you. Now there are some things that I expect from you, what you are going to deliver to me. First is discipline. I want you all to be very much regular in attending the class. Please do not skip the class. And while you are watching the lecture, please make sure you are not using mobile, you are not distracted. You have to be 100% attentive in the batch. When I say you have to scribble, you have to scribble. When I say you have to answer, you have to answer. I want all of your senses involved. Basically, one promise that I expect from you all is to keep all your senses involved in the batch only. I want you to be very attentive, means you are only listening to what I am saying. Your eyes are only on the lecture. When I say let us revise, chalo bolo mere saath, means you have to speak out along with me. When I say scribble, you have to scribble along with me, means your ears, eyes, your mouth, your hands, everything, all of your senses and sense organs are involved in the lectures only. If this happens, I assure you that you will need one less revision of IDT, because your 100% revision would be done along with my batch only. Done, ma'am. All the senses involved. Right. Second thing, you are going to be regular. And third, I will hardly give you any homework in this batch, because all questions we will solve in class, every concept we will cover in class. But in case I give you any of small homework, you are going to finish off that homework along with me. Then the most important thing is test. With this batch, you get 5 block tests and 1 full course test. These block tests are 50 marks each. I have broken down the entire syllabus in 5 blocks, like a block of 5 to 6 chapters, which means once we complete first 5 chapters, I will give you a 50 marks test to write. Then next 5 chapters, you get a 50 marks test to write. So this ways, 50 marks into 5 tests and plus 1 full course 100 marks test is what you are going to write along with the batch only. And this is where you do all of your writing practice, because I don't make you write much in the class. I have given you everything in the handwritten notes, questions also I make you solve. But this 50 into 5 plus 100 marks of the test is the biggest game changer. The pattern is exactly the pattern as followed by ICI. The tests will cover MCQs, some tricky questions, some easy questions. So there would be a blend of a complete way, just how ICAI tests you in examination. This paper will make you understand whether you are able to manage the questions on time, whether you are able to write the law language, whether you are able to present the answers properly, whether you are able to recall the provisions. So with batch only, if you complete these tests with me, 83 plus target is not very tough for you. These 5 block tests you are going to self-evaluate. Means I will share the test paper with you. I will also share the suggested answer with you. You will write the test, self-evaluate, give yourself marks, scan the paper and send it to me on the Telegram group itself only. I will myself, no staff, nobody, I myself will see your paper and revert you with a audio note explaining you where you can improve, where you have done properly, where you have given yourself more marks, where you have given yourself less marks. So this self-evaluation will help you identify the loopholes. Then this 100 marks tests will be evaluated by our test series team. They will evaluate this 100 marks of paper, send you the comments and everything. You can also send that paper to me for my queries, for my comments, etc. Okay, ma'am. So this 5 plus 1 block test that you have to write. That is all. If you give me these 4 promises, I promise you 83 plus marks in examination. In all of my Hindi batch, I say, समझ आएगा, मजा आएगा and याद होगा. समझ आएगा, मजा आएगा and याद होगा, which simply means I will make sure that you understand every single provision. I will make sure that you enjoy every single lecture, and I will make sure, most importantly, that I make you learn everything in the class itself only, because end of the day it is all about what you present on the paper and not what is there in your head. So it is very much important for you to learn everything, to remember everything, so that you are able to present in the examination. Ma'am, what about presentation practice? Do not worry. During in our last lecture, I will show you my certified copy. Also, what mistakes I made, what good things I did. Also, while solving the questions, I will constantly keep on pinpointing that, see, this is how you present the theory question. This is how you present the practical question. So, every single aspect will be taken care of. Done, ma'am. The paper pattern is very simple. We have 30% MCQs and we have 70% descriptive. Okay, ma'am. What about MCQ practice? See, understand, ICI has issued a lot of MCQs for you to practice on their portal. It is not possible for us to cover all the MCQs in the batch. However, I have gone through all the MCQs. And I have noted down the points also that are relevant for you to solve those MCQs, which means during the course of lectures, whenever we are referring to certain provision which is contained in the MCQ booklet of ICAI, I will make you mark that. Let's see, these are the things that are asked in MCQs. This is the thing that is there in the MCQ booklet, and this is how you are going to solve it. So I will not particularly make you solve the MCQs, but I promise you, and this happens in all the batches, that we cover all the points that are there in the MCQs, which means even after attending class, you are not able to solve all the 100% MCQs issued by ICAI. You need to relax because all the concepts are covered in the class. You can then, according to the time availability, give time to MCQ practice. We also have sessions on YouTube where we discuss the MCQs of RTPs, MTPs, etc. And I take sessions in both the language, Hindi also and English also. So it is completely fine. Whatever new MCQs are issued by ICAI, we constantly keep on updating the YouTube channel with those MCQ practice. Yes, done, ma'am. Chalo. So the 30% paper is going to be MCQ and the 70% paper is going to be descriptive. What about syllabus pattern, ma'am? So 80% of your paper consists of GST and 20% of your paper consists of customs plus FTP. So the entire syllabus of IDT, which is indirect taxes, consists of 80% marks GST. Means the paper is not for 100 marks, the paper is for more than 100 marks because we also have one optional paper, one optional question. So the paper is approximately for 114 marks, which means 80% of that will be GST and 20% contains both customs as well as FTP, which means out of this 20% again 30% would be MCQ and 70% would be descriptive part. Earlier this was 70-30, but now they have changed the ratio, which means the importance of GST has increased even more. 80% of your paper is GST only, 20% is customs as well as FTP. Now if you think that okay, 3 to 5 marks of FTP would be there, which means what is FTP, ma'am? Foreign trade policy. We have one chapter named as foreign trade policy. We'll discuss it at the end of, means the last lecture would be for FTP. Do not worry about that. So approximately 15 to 17 marks for customs. From that also 30% MCQ and 70% descriptive. So the customs is almost 100 pages of the notes. So from the total 385 pages, almost 100 to 130, 140 pages are for customs, which would give you only 12 to 13 marks in examination. And all the remaining 250 pages will give you 80 marks in the examination, which are of GST. We are going to give equal emphasis on all the areas, but of course I will make you write what is A category, B category, C category. So while revising, if you have less time, you can understand and decide what to give priority, what not to give priority. For now, we will first start with GST portion, of course, because that is 80% of the syllabus. Right, ma'am. So this was about me, about batch and about the syllabus. Now, customs and FTP part we will keep for later. First of all, let us understand that what are the chapters in GST, goods and services tax, that we are going to study. So we break down the entire syllabus in 3 categories. One is the core areas. Then we have procedural areas. And then we have miscellaneous areas, which means the core areas of GST, like how is supply done, how is GST charged, what is the value on which you need to charge the GST, how we get credit of GST. These are all the core areas. Means your supply, charge, then time of supply, value of supply, place of supply, ITC. These are the core areas of GST, and this itself consists of about 50% of the paper in examination. See, 20% is customs FTP. 20% is customs FTP. From the remaining 50, I would say from the remaining 80, I would say almost 50 to 60% paper are these core areas only. Then we have some procedural chapters like registration, assessment, where they explain you the procedure, that how you apply for registration, which form you need to fill, within how many days you have to reply to a notice, within how many days officer can take an action. So all of these things are procedural in nature, like return filing, like what is the due date for filing return, what is the late fees if you are filing late return. So these are less asked in examination areas, more prone to MCQ, we would say. And then we have some small miscellaneous chapters like advanced ruling, job work. Like these are 20-25 minutes of chapters or half an hour of chapter. Every single chapter is just like 2-3 pages. We have a chapter named miscellaneous only, advanced ruling, job work. These are the kind of chapters which are least important for examination. Like in every 3 or 4 attempts, they are asked only once. We will of course give importance to every single thing, considering everything as A category because we are in a regular batch. But yes, alongside I will keep telling you that this is more often asked in examination, this is less asked in examination, and also because we are going to solve entire question bank which covers all the past papers, you will automatically understand what is the area which is more tested in examination. This is all. This is all the introduction that I wanted you to have before we begin with the syllabus. Now quickly tell me, are you all feeling josh? The josh is high. I always keep saying all my students, please put some dil dil aag aag bomb bomb emojis. Ma'am, what is dil dil aag aag bomb bomb? Arey dil, heart, aag, fire, and bomb emojis. This gives me a lot of energy. If you have emojis in the comment section, you can use them. Otherwise, you can simply always write dil dil aag aag bomb, which means everything is going great. We are understanding everything. We are feeling high. Whenever you feel like, ma'am, this topic is kind of boring, you just put some dil dil aag aag bomb emojis in the comment section. Everything will be lit. I will have more energy. You will have more energy, and we'll take the session further. So quickly tell me everyone, and you all have to reply. I don't like quiet students. You all have to reply that are you all feeling dil dil aag aag bomb? Shall we start with the first chapter today? Yes, ma'am. Shall we start with the first chapter? Are you all feeling dil dil aag aag bomb, guys? Yes, ma'am. Chalo now. If you have received the book, then open page number 1 of the book. If you have not received the book, absolutely no problem because you are not going to require book today. We start with the first chapter, that is GST in India and Introduction. This chapter is not applicable for exam. Hai ma'am? Yes. Chapter 1 according to ICAI study material is supply under GST. But they have given this introduction part in an annexure to the chapter where they have explained all of these things, saying that this is important for you to know. This is the knowledge that you will require in further chapters, but this chapter in itself is not testable in examination, which means I am going to teach you all of these things only for your understanding, just to build a base. But this is all not applicable for examination. This entire chapter not applicable? Yes, this entire chapter till here. Till here, nothing is applicable in examination. The examination applicability starts from important terms only. So, everything that we are going to study today is for your understanding, to build a base about GST. Chalo. Now, let me ask you some questions. Before understanding GST, let us understand about tax, because GST, goods and services tax, is a kind of tax. Okay. So, what is a tax? Being CA students, do we understand what is a tax? Anyone? You would have studied about tax in 11th standard economics, that what is the definition of tax? It is there on your screen, so don't look na. Be honest. Answer based on whatever knowledge you have. What is tax? Ma'am, very simple. Any kind of payment that we are required to make to government is tax. Because government runs the entire system of the country, government requires funds and money, which they collect from us in the form of taxes, right? So, is paying tax voluntary or is paying tax mandatory? Like, can you today wake up and say that, hey, I am not in a mood to pay taxes. Hey, government, listen, I don't want to pay taxes. I am not in a mood to pay tax. Is it okay? No, you cannot do so. Which means paying taxes is not voluntary. Paying taxes is mandatory. By paying tax, you are not making any kind of a donation to government. It is a compulsory enforced contribution that you have to do. Which means, what is tax? Tax is a pecuniary burden which is laid on all the individuals or property owners to support the government. It is a kind of a payment that is exacted by the legislative authority. It is not any kind of a voluntary payment or a donation. It is an enforced contribution that you have to pay taxes to the government if applicable on you. In India, or majorly also, we have two kinds of taxes. One is direct tax and one is indirect tax. What is the difference? The major difference is that in direct taxes, the person who is paying tax to government and the person who is bearing the burden are same person only. Means, let's say today I am doing a job and my salary is 12 lakh per annum, which means every month I am getting 1 lakh salary. Now this 1 lakh salary is coming, TDS deducted. At the end of the year, I see I've earned a total salary of 12 lakh, of which I have to pay income tax, which means the person who is earning income himself or herself is required to pay taxes out of it, which means ouch, you yourself get the pinch, understand the burden of the amounts that you are paying. So I am the person who is earning the income. I am the person who is bearing the burden of the tax, and I am only the person who is paying these taxes to government, which means I am not passing on this incidence of tax on somebody else. I myself am the person who is paying the tax to government and who is also bearing the burden of incidence of tax, which is not the case in indirect taxes. Let's say today you purchase a BMW. Whoa, wow, ma'am. Let's say today you purchase a BMW. Not this BMW, no. I am talking about Balaji Masala Wafer. Because according to our stipend, this is only what we can get. So let's say I purchase a 10 rupee packet of BMW Balaji Masala Wafer. Now this packet would contain 9 rupees of taxable value and 1 rupee of GST. If you ever happen to purchase anything, just look at the price that is given on the product. It could be anything, consumables, electronics, whatever you purchase, we have MRP written on it. MRP is the maximum retail price, and there is written this inclusive of all taxes. Inclusive of all taxes means that out of this 10, there would be some portion that is for tax, which the supplier will collect and pay to government. And the remaining portion is what the supplier is going to keep in his or her own pocket. Which means, I being the customer, am actually bearing the burden of this 1 rupee tax. But my supplier is going to collect this 1 rupee tax from me and then go and pay to government. Means who is the payer of this tax? My supplier. But who is the person bearing the burden of the tax? Me, being a customer. Which means I never feel the direct pinch of paying taxes. I purchased this bottle, I have paid GST on it. I purchased this calculator, I have paid GST on it. In fact, when I purchased this pen, I have paid GST on it. But I never realized only that I am paying GST. Why? Because it is all added in the price. I just pay to my supplier. I simply feel that the chips are worth 10 rupees. I never feel that chips are worth 9 rupees and 1 rupee is the tax that I am paying. No, because I am paying the taxes to my supplier. Then it is the supplier's duty to further pass on that tax to government. So the person paying the tax is different from the person bearing the burden of the tax, which means it makes the collection of tax much simple, because without realizing, I go pay taxes and come back. Whereas income tax is the kind of tax that I myself am paying out of my own income, which means I would always try to escape these taxes because I feel the pinch of these taxes directly. One more difference is that this tax is progressive in nature, whereas indirect taxes are regressive in nature. What is the meaning of progressive and regressive? Okay, let me ask you a question and you all have to answer. Chalo, we have Vidhi here. Let's say Vidhi earns 7 lakh rupees every year. Vidhi earns 7 lakh rupees every year. We also have Mr. Mukesh Ambani. Let's say Mukesh Ambani earns, I don't know how many thousands of crores every year. So he earns some thousands of crores every year. Now, Vidhi got an additional income of 5 lakh rupees. And Mr. Mukesh Ambani also got an additional income of 5 lakh rupees. Tell me, the taxes payable on these 5 lakh will be same or different? Everyone tell me. Vidhi earning 5 lakh or Ambani earning additional 5 lakh, is the percentage of tax that is applicable on this income will be same for both or different for both? Of course different, ma'am, because the tax slab would differ. For Vidhi, her total income still remains 7 plus 5, which is 12 only, which means 20% tax would be applicable on her. But for Ambani, who is already earning hundreds or thousands of crore, he is already paying 30% tax plus some surcharge, etc. So for him, this amount would be taxed differently. This is in one line. Progressive nature of direct taxes means more your capacity to pay, the government will ask more tax from you. More your income, the government will ask more tax from you. Whereas taking the example of BMW, where a chips cost me only 10 rupees, now even if I purchase the chips, if Mukesh Ambani purchases the chips, or a person who is below poverty line goes ahead and purchases the chips, all three of us would be required to pay 9 taxable value and 1 rupee GST only. This is regressive in nature, means it does not look at the capacity of the person to pay the taxes. Even if I am a below poverty line person, I still have to pay GST on whatever goods or services I purchase. Even if I am a super rich person, I still have to pay the same amount of taxes only that the other people are saying, because it is fixed for every goods or services. So the direct taxes are progressive. As you progress with your income, you pay more taxes. But indirect taxes are regressive in nature, which means they do not look at the capacity. They are same for all. They are equal for all, irrespective of their ability to pay. Therefore regressive, and here progressive, that more the ability to pay, more the taxes. So the burden is borne by the person himself in direct tax, and here the burden of the tax is shifted to another person in indirect tax. Examples could be GST and customs duty that we are going to study. Okay. Chalo now. Any one of you, GST was implemented in which year? Which year GST was implemented in India? Tell me. I believe being CA students, you would know this. CA, CMA, CS students. Which year GST was introduced in India? Very simple question. Ma'am, 2017. Chalo, every single student has answered 2017 GST was implemented in India. Before that, there were no indirect taxes or what? We understood what is an indirect tax, which is normally levied on goods or service, whereas direct tax is levied on a person. Okay. So earlier, before 2017, were any taxes not levied on goods or services or what? No, ma'am. Taxes were levied. They were VAT, service tax, excise duty, etc. Now, what was the problem in those taxes? Why we abolished all of those taxes and we started to implement GST in India? Let us understand a very simple story. है ना? चलो. There was a boy named Ankit. In my neighborhood, there was a boy named Ankit. His father was super rich person. I always used to envy him because he never used to study. He always used to party. His father would give him all the money that he needs, and he was a basic, typical spoiled guy. Okay. One fine day, his father got to know, I am doing chartered accountancy, I am also doing CFA alongside, I am also scoring good in BCom. So his father simply called Ankit and said, hey, I am discontinuing all of your pocket money from today. I will not give you a single penny of money. You need to work on your own and prove yourself. As it is, I am not going to give any money to you. Ankit, also being young blood, got angry and he was like, okay, what do you think? What do you think? I cannot do anything on my own? Now you see papa, you see father, I'll do and I'll show it to you that I am also capable. Father said, okay. So Ankit took some money from his father as a loan to start his business. Now, he decided to manufacture bottles. He decided to set up a manufacturing plant for bottles in Gujarat, Ahmedabad. Okay, ma'am. Chalo. So, for setting up a factory, what all things he would need? First of all, he went ahead in the local market in Ahmedabad to purchase some raw materials. And when he purchased raw materials, the supplier gave him a bill. And there was a tax named VAT charged in that bill. Ankit was absolutely unaware about any of this term, so he simply called me. He knew I was doing CA, he called me, Riddhi. I have purchased some goods from Ahmedabad, some raw materials for my factory, and they are charging some kind of a tax named VAT. I said, ha. It is very normal that for any goods that you purchase intrastate, value added tax, VAT is charged. It is a kind of indirect tax, and yes, VAT will be charged. Do not worry, the supplier is not fooling you. He said, okay. Since all the raw materials were not available in Ahmedabad, he decided to go to Mumbai. So he went Mumbai and purchased some raw materials there also. He was very much prepared to pay VAT there also. But as soon as he got the bill, he saw something named as CST, and he called me again. Riddhi, now what is this CST? Are they fooling me? They are charging some CST from me. I said, okay, I forgot to tell you that for any of the intrastate goods that you purchase, VAT is charged. For any of the interstate goods that you supply, CST, Central Sales Tax, is charged. He said, oh, okay. So if in Gujarat only I purchase or sell, VAT will be charged. And outside Gujarat, if I go interstate, CST will be charged. I said, yes, understood. Then he thought that I will make a world-class factory, a factory which no one has ever seen. So he straight away went to Shah Rukh Khan's house. Why Shah Rukh Khan SRK? Not to meet SRK, to meet Gauri. Now, who's Gauri? SRK's wife, Ray. Who is she? She's an interior designing. D-Decor named company she owns. So he thought I will hire Gauri only to design my factory and make it world-class. Now he hired Gauri. Gauri gave him a bill. He was very much prepared to pay CST because Gauri from Mumbai, he from Ahmedabad, being interstate. But Gauri charged something named as service tax from him. He called me again. He said, now what is this service tax, Riddhi? I said, VAT and CST is for goods. But any of the services that you purchase or sell, service tax is charged in India. What is charged? Service tax is charged in India. He said, now what about interstate? I said, no. Service tax is one only throughout India. He said, okay. So for goods, intrastate VAT. For goods, interstate CST. For services, anywhere it is service tax. I said, yes. Perfect. Okay. Then he decided to import some raw materials from China, from US, from Russia, from Japan, from Germany, from many countries because he wanted to build a world-class factory. So he ordered some materials and there's something named import duty, custom duty was charged from him. He was like, oh my God, so many taxes. And then finally his factory got set up and he called me. Hey Riddhi, listen, I'm inaugurating my factory and now it's my turn to collect VAT and CST from people. I have paid enough VAT CST. But now because I will become supplier, I will collect VAT CST from people. I said, hey, listen, before that, for anything that you manufacture, government also charges excise duty on manufacturing. He was like, done. I am done. He said, for one business, I need to understand VAT, CST, service tax, import duty, excise duty, octroi, municipal taxes, local taxes, entertainment taxes, lottery taxes, purchase taxes. There were multiple taxes that were existing prior to 2017. And people like Ankit, who were unaware about much of commerce or taxes, unlike us, because we are CA/CMA students, of course, common people would get confused and ease of doing business was absolutely vanished because a person would always be stuck in compliances in different types of taxes, when is applicable what. In fact, the credit was also not set off. Like how they used to do is, for a goods of 100 rupees, they would first charge excise duty 10, let's say. The goods becomes 410. Now they charge VAT on entire 100 and tax, which on 10, which means they are also charging VAT on excise. They are charging tax on tax. Credit was not possible. There were a lot of problems that were arising, and then Ankit finally went to his dad and said, Papa, I don't want to do business. I am sorry, it is not my cup of tea because I am not able to understand the taxes only. What business I am going to do? So for people like Ankit, government came in 2017 and said, hey, now we are implementing one nation, one tax. Now we are implementing one nation, one tax for all goods and services, which is known as GST, goods and services tax. So now excise, service tax, VAT, CST, everything is subsumed. Everything is subsumed in one tax, which is named as GST. Only the import duties that were levied at the time of import and export are still applicable as it is. Other than that, all the other taxes, all the other indirect taxes are now subsumed in one tax, which is named as GST, Goods and Services Tax. Do you understand the need for India to implement GST? Yes, because of multiple taxes, multiple compliances, multiple problems, cascading effect, no setting off. These were many of the reasons due to which taxation became so much complex that it was the need of the hour to implement GST in India. Now in India, we have implemented dual GST model. What do we understand by dual GST model? The center as well as state simultaneously collect GST, which means if there is something sold for 100 rupees of taxable value, chargeable at 18% GST, 9 will go to central government and the remaining 9 will go to state government. So simultaneously, central government as well as state government levy and collect GST. Whatever. Now ma'am, which state will get the revenue? Which state will get the revenue? We simply say the consuming state. The consuming state will get the revenue. Means taxes could be origin based taxes or destination based taxes. Let's say goods are today manufactured in Bangalore. Goods are manufactured in Bangalore. Spelling galat hai na? Just a second. Who is from Bangalore here? What is the spelling? You'll say, what is this, ma'am? No, I guess spelling was correct only. Yes. Goods manufactured in Bangalore, now supplied to Ahmedabad. Goods manufactured in Bangalore, now supplied to Ahmedabad. Now tell me, who is going to get the revenue here? This is the place of origin and this is the place of destination. Consumption, where there is the final destination of goods or the final consumption of goods. Which state is going to get the revenue here? Which state is going to get the GST revenue here? The goods are worth 100, taxable at 18%. 9 will go to central government. The remaining 9 will go to which state? Tell me. I have simply told you one thing, that GST is destination based tax, consumption based tax. So which state, to which state the revenue of 9 GST is going to accrue? Very, very simple, ma'am. Gujarat, right? Because Gujarat is the place where the goods are finally going. The goods, the destination of goods is there, the consumption of goods is there. So GST is not an origin based tax, GST is a consumption based tax. Means the state where the goods are being supplied gets the revenue of GST. We also have a chapter named place of supply. In this chapter, we'll only understand how to determine that which state will get the revenue. So we have a full dedicated chapter to understand this, but simply by explaining you this example, I hope you understand that origin place will never get GST, the consuming place is going to get the GST. So the framework of GST in India is a dual framework, because the company has a federal structure. Government, central government needs its own money to run the government, to run the administration, and state government also needs its own money. So we have made GST as a dual structure where we charge C plus S GST concurrently together, and both of the governments share the revenue of the GST. Okay, ma'am. So GST is a destination based tax on consumption of goods, services, or both. Wherever we have written GSB in our book, it simply means goods, services, or both. Tax revenue would accrue to the place of consumption, state or union territory. Understanding the genesis of GST in India. Just to pinpoint again, this chapter is not applicable for examination. Therefore, I am not making you learn anything. Once we want to chapters which are applicable for examination, I will make sure that we learn, we remember everything in class itself. This chapter you are not required to learn. Please do not remember. It will not be asked in examination. Just listen, understand and keep in your mind so that you know all of these things which will help you to further better understand the subject. Okay, so GST in India was implemented on 1st July 2017. What was the journey of GST in India? That we are going to see. So, in entire world, France was the first country to implement GST. Like the concept of one nation, one tax to integrate everything, France was the first country. After that, presently more than 160 countries have already adopted GST, India being one of them. Now the genesis, in 2000, in year 2000, when I was born, my birthday 20 December 2000. So government got to know that okay, Riddhi is born, means the person who is going to teach GST is born. So let us now implement the concept of GST in India. So in the year 2000, the then Prime Minister first thought that okay, we should also implement GST in India. Then in 2006 and 7, the then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram also announced in the budget session that GST will be introduced in India from 1st April 2010. After that, it kept missing on several deadlines, and then finally in 2014, the amendment bill was introduced in Lok Sabha. Now we know for any act to be enacted, it first needs to be introduced in Lok Sabha, then Rajya Sabha, then President gives assent, and then it finally becomes an act applicable to the country. To introduce GST, we had to amend the constitution. So, the Constitution Amendment Bill was introduced in Lok Sabha in December 2014. Then Lok Sabha passed the bill, then Rajya Sabha passed the bill, then President assented, and then finally this bill became an act. That constitution was amended to implement GST in India. After that, we had the first council meeting who recommended bills for CGST Act, SGST Act, UTGST Act, says in GST. So all the bills were passed and all the bills became act. And then finally, on 30 June 2017, all the states passed their respective SGST, State Goods and Services Tax Act, except for Jammu Kashmir. So we let Jammu Kashmir be there, and after on 30 June, after all the states passed their SGST Act, from 1st July, we made GST applicable to whole of India except Jammu Kashmir. And then एक हफ्ते बाद महबूबा मान गई, which means after one week, Jammu Kashmir also accepted, and then on 8th July they also passed their SGST Act, and then finally on this date GST is applicable to whole India without any exception. Every single nook and corner of India, GST is today applicable, which means in true essence, this is one nation, one tax. It took us 17 whole years to implement GST in India. In the year 2000, it was first thought by the Prime Minister to implement GST in India, and then finally on 1st July 2017, we were able to implement GST after a whole lot struggle of 17 years. Okay, ma'am. Sure. Concept of GST, I have already explained to you that it is a value added tax. What do we understand by the term value added tax? Now listen. This is the very foundation of GST, that there is no cascading effect of taxes, all the burden borne by final consumer, continuous chain of tax credit and value added tax. How this functions, how this works, let us understand with an example. So we have Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C and Mr. D. Okay. Mr. A manufactured goods worth 100. Now for sake of simplicity, we assume 10% GST rate. As such, there is no 10% rate in practical life, but for simplicity, we are assuming 10%. So, Mr. A sold these goods to Mr. B. By adding GST, so 100 rupees worth of goods taxable at the rate of 10% were sold to Mr. B. So, Mr. B paid 10 as taxable value and 10 as GST tax, total 110. So, the total value of goods is 110, of which 10 is GST and 100 is taxable value. So, what would have happened? Mr. A kept 100 rupees in his own pocket and gave 10 rupees to government. Government received 10 rupees. So, the person paying the tax is Mr. A, but the person bearing the burden of the tax is Mr. B. Understood? Right, ma'am. Now, Mr. B added profit margin of 50%, which means these 100 rupees worth of goods, now he is selling to Mr. B for 150. He charges a profit margin of 50%. So 150. Again, the rate of GST applicable would be 10%, which means 50. So the goods are now worth 165. So B would have collected total 165 from Mr. C, from which he will keep 150 in his pocket. And what will he pay to government? Anyone? Chalo, tell me. What is the amount that now he is going to pay to government? Now he will only pay 5 rupees to government. Why, ma'am? He has collected 15 from C, right? He has collected 15 from C. and 10 he has already paid to Mr. A, which have already received by government. Government has already received this 10 from Mr. A, which were borne by Mr. B only. So if we pay 10 rupees again, that would be double taxation on this same 100 only. So here what we will do is deduct the 10 that he has already paid. This 10 is his credit, because he is not the final consumer. We want the entire burden to be borne by final consumer only. B is an intermediary. The goods are still supplied further. Means B is not the final consumer, so he will not bear the burden simply. He has paid 10 to A. He will deduct that 10, and what additional amount is required to be paid to government is only 5. So here we will say 5 rupees will be now paid to government by Mr. B. But who has borne the burden of this 5? Mr. C. Now let's say Mr. C sells these goods to Mr. D for 210 rupees. Again GST being 10% would be 21, and this comes to 231. So now Mr. C receives total 231 rupees from Mr. D, from which he will keep 210 in his pocket. And how much will he pay to government? Entire 21? No. Now he received 21, but he has already paid 15 to B, which government has already received. So the additional 6 rupees is what he is going to pay to government. And now let's say D is the final consumer who consumed the goods. So now the government has got a total revenue of 10 plus 5 plus 6, which equals to 21, which entire burden is borne by Mr. D only, who is the final consumer. At each stage, whatever is the value added, only that additional tax is charged again. See, from 100 to 150, only 50 rupees value is added. So 10% of 50 comes to 5. From 150 to 210, only 60 rupees value is added, 10% of which comes to 6. So we will say that on each stage, only the value that is newly added is being charged, and the older amount on which tax is already paid, no taxes again would be paid on the same amount, because you get continuous chain of tax credit. And by doing this chain, the entire final 21 was borne by the final consumer. So not on any single amount we are required to pay double taxes. There is no cascading, which means this 10 that you pay, this 15 that you pay never gets added to your expense. No. You simply pay and you get the credit. This do not form part of your cost. Only this amount that you are paying, the taxable value is your cost. The tax amount never becomes your cost. This is the very concept of GST. These 4 concepts solve all the problems that were arising earlier. Double taxation, abolished. Tax credit not being set up, abolished. Cascading effect, abolished. Means all the problems solved. Only the value that is added will be taxable, and every person will keep getting the credit unless the final consumer bears the entire burden. Bolo, is this completely clear to all of us how the chain of GST works and the meaning of all 4 points? Everyone 100% clear? Tell me. GST is a value added tax, means every stage the value being newly added is only charged. Whatever taxes we've already paid, we get credit of the same, and only the newly added portion we are required to pay to government. And then finally, all the total final tax, the entire total final tax, the burden is bear by the final consumer only. Okay, everyone? Yes, ma'am. Chalo. Now we understand states and union territories for GST purpose. See, listen. Whenever I supply from one state to one state or one UT to one UT, like from Gujarat to Gujarat, supplier also in Gujarat, recipient also Gujarat, place of supply also Gujarat, or let's say Maharashtra to Maharashtra, Puducherry to Puducherry. In all of these cases, C plus S GST is charged. So if the rate is 18%, I will charge 9% CGST, 9% SGST. SGST means Gujarat SGST, Maharashtra SGST, Puducherry being a union territory. Puducherry is also, as such, the Puducherry is also a state in GST. So we can take example of, let's say, Ladakh. Ladakh is a union territory. So here I will charge C plus UT GST. If I am making supply from Rajasthan to Andhra Pradesh, If I am making supply from Rajasthan to Andhra Pradesh, here IGST will be charged. For all the interstate supplies, we charge IGST. This IGST is later apportioned to center and state only. But for once, for all the interstate supply, we charge IGST, and for all the intrastate supplies, we charge C plus SGST. This I is also later distributed between center and state only depending upon the place of supply. But for our transaction purpose, we charge IGST. And for all intrastate supplies, C plus S means central GST plus state GST is charged together. Which state, ma'am? The state in which intrastate supply is taking place. If it is not a state, it is a union territory, then we charge C plus UT GST. For the purpose of GST, how many states are there in India? Chalo, forget GST. Tell me geographically how many states are there in India? Ma'am, if we would have studied this much geography, we would be doing UPSC by now. We would have become IAS officers, not studying CA final or CA or CMA. Chalo. Tell me how many states are there geographically today in India? Hey, come on, you have to get this right, guys. How many states are there in India? Very good, everyone. Ma'am, presently there are 28 geographical states in India. Not 29, no. Jammu Kashmir now converted to Union Territory. So today we have 28 geographical states in India. All these states are states only according to GST. Plus 3 Union Territories. Which 3 Union Territories? Delhi, Jammu Kashmir and Puducherry, who have their own legislature. What do we mean by own legislature? See, normally union territories are run by central government only. Therefore, they are known as union territories. But if you see Delhi, Delhi has its own chief minister. Delhi has its own legislature. Jammu Kashmir has its own chief minister. Puducherry has its own chief minister. Means these are as such union territories. But still they have their own legislature. So for GST purpose, we consider them as state. So presently, according to GST, we have 31 states. According to geography, we have 28 states, but the 3 union territories, which is Delhi, Jammu Kashmir and Puducherry, for GST purpose are considered state only. So if anyone asks you how many states are there in India according to GST, you will say there are 31 states according to GST. Means if I supply from Delhi to Delhi, C plus SGST will be only charged and not C plus UTGST. As such, Delhi is a union territory, but still C plus UTGST will not be charged because it is considered as state only in India in GST. Therefore, we charge C plus SGST only. Right, ma'am. Then geographically, how many union territories are there? Tell me. You all said, ma'am, geographically 28 states are there. Then geographically, how many union territories are there? Ma'am, 8 union territories are there, of which 3 are considered as state only in India in GST. Then the remaining 5 union territories, which we simply call as all city. Just a mnemonic to remember, all city. All city, these 8 union territories, from which 3 are state in GST. So the remaining 5 union territories according to geography will be considered as union territory in India. What is all CD, ma'am? Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh. Dadra Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu were earlier 2 separate union territories, but now they are both clubbed, and today Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu is a single union territory only in India. So total today, geographically there are 8 union territories. Delhi, Jammu Kashmir, Puducherry, Andaman, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu. But in GST, we consider these 3 to be states, and we consider the remaining 5 to be union territories. Tell me everyone, is this clear to all of us? We will quickly remember this right now here only. So just in case an exam the question says that we have supplied from Ladakh to Ladakh and you are required to calculate GST, you need to be sure that you are not charging C plus SGST, but because you know Ladakh is a union territory in GST, you will charge C plus UT GST. right? Only for this purpose you need to know. Therefore, they are saying that we will not test this particular chapter in examination, but we assume that you know these things, right? They would assume, because of course being CA/CMA students, you would be very sure about what is state, what is union territory. Why would they even think that you don't know about state and union territory? But it is very much possible that we don't know. Therefore, I am simply giving this knowledge to you. You will not sit and learn all these things. It is just required to be kept in mind. In case in examination they ask, we supply from Delhi to Delhi and compute GST. The question is not wanting to ask whether Delhi is UT or union territory or state. The question is wanting you to calculate liability. But to calculate liability, you should know that okay, we will charge SGST and not UT GST. Tell me, is this clear to all of us? Yes, ma'am. So states according to GST and union territories according to GST. States, very simple. All the 28 geographical states are states, and plus 3 UTs, Delhi, Jammu Kashmir and Puducherry, are also total 31 states in GST. Talking about union territories, all CD. Only these 5 places, all CD, are union territories. What is all CD? Write everyone with me, chalo. Andaman Nicobar, you can write in short, A and N, which is okay, but I want you all to just write. That is important. So all CD, Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh and Dadra, Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. You can simply write in short form, but please make sure you're involving all of your senses. Speak out loud. If you're in library, that's a separate thing, but if you are at a place where it is comfortable for you to speak, I would highly recommend you to speak along with me. That will improve your retention period. Chalo. So Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh and Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. These are all CD 5 union territories. Other than this, everything is a state according to GST. Yes, guys? Done, ma'am. Chalo then. What is this other territory exclusive economic zone? We will cover in the chapter of charge. We'll cover this in the chapter of charge of GST. You can simply skip this. Means other than this area. This only computes the land area. Chalo, I'll just give you a short overview here. This is the land territory of India. Let's say this is the southern part of India, right? The lower southern part. Here we have water. So up to 12 nautical miles it is India only, and then also up to 200 nautical miles it is Indian water only. So what if some supply is happening here? What is this place known as? This is exclusive economic zone. This is not a state, of course not a part of all the 31 states. Then what is this place known as? This place is also considered as a union territory only in GST. We will discuss everything in detail in the chapter of charge. For now, you can simply remember it as that any area in water also up to 200 nautical miles from the baseline is also India. Now, this place to be considered in which state or which union territory? It is considered in itself a separate union territory under GST. We will discuss a lot about it when we move on to the chapter of charge. Okay, ma'am. Chalo. Then we learn about 11 special category states in GST. Again, not important for you to remember for examination purpose, but yes, we will have references of these states multiple times when we study composition chapter, when we study exemption chapter, when we study registration chapter. These names will more often appear. Therefore, it is good for us to remember these states now only. A very simple technique for all of you to remember the 11 special category states in GST which are treated differently at a lot of places in a lot of provisions. We remember this with a very simple technique which is no asthma. No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. What, ma'am? Yes. Just to remember, this is a mnemonic that Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir are special, that nobody gets asthma there. So the 11 special category states are no asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. 11 special category states, everyone with me, no asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. What is this, ma'am? No means Nagaland. No means Nagaland. A for Assam. S for Sikkim. T for Tripura. H for Himachal Pradesh. When I say M, you have to say Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. M is simply Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. M is simply Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. A for Arunachal Pradesh. Mind it, not Andhra Pradesh, it is Arunachal Pradesh. U is Uttarakhand. And JK is of course Jammu Kashmir. So these are the 11. Now there's nothing about this to explain. I could have simply said that these are 11 special category states. You can self-read and we could have moved further. Because of course in the map I'm not going to show, see this is Nagaland, see this is Sikkim, see this is Tripura. No. What you need to remember are just the names. So I'm taking this extra effort in the batch only that you do not have to spare additional time, and with me only you are able to remember all of these states. So everyone with me. No asthma. No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir are the 11 special category states in India according to GST. Chalo, try to write with me in the comment section everyone. No means Nagaland. No means Nagaland. A for Assam. Then Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh. Whenever I say M, you will say Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. M for Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. M for Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya. A for Arunachal Pradesh. Then this is in, okay, ignore. Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. 11 special category states, everyone with me, yes. These you will require when we move on to registration chapter, composition chapter, exemption chapter. I'll simply give you the reference. A, you remember no asthma, you remember no asthma, and simply you will be able to recall all these states. Chalo, one last time with me everyone. No asthma. No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. 11 special category states in India. Nagaland, Assam, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh. M for Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. Bolo, are we all confident? Are we all confident? This is simply introduction chapter, means we are not studying any concept. We are not studying any chapter. We are not studying any provision. We are simply seeing the bits and parts of GST just to get an overview that, okay, what is tax? What is GST? When was it implemented? What is states according to GST? What is the common portal of GST? How goods and services are classified? It is all about that. Also, this is not to be tested in examination. Right, ma'am. Chalo. Now, let's say today, I decide that I am going to sell both of these pens, right? This pen and this pen. Can you see? Yes, ma'am. I decide to sell both of these pens. Okay. One is a normal stationery pen that we used to write on paper, and one is this electronic pen that we used to write on iPad. Now, how do I decide what rate of GST I am going to charge? How to decide what rate of GST is going to be applicable on these pens? For this thing, for each and every goods, government classifies all the goods according to harmonized system of nomenclature HSN code. Let's say today I decide that I am going to manufacture and supply this calculator. I am going to manufacture and supply this calculator. How will I decide that what will be the rate of GST that I am going to pay on this calculator? We will simply Google HSN code of calculator and it will come. Chalo, let us try once. HSN code of calculator. Chalo. So, the HSN code for calculator is 8470. We can also go till the 8-digit HSN code. Now what happens is we have chapters, then sub-chapters, then tariff item. So all the devices would be under 8470. Then we would have different categories like scientific calculator, mechanical calculator, this is financial calculator or normal calculator, and every calculator might have a different HSN code. So what government does is, for every single HSN code, they have given the rate of GST which will be applicable on the HSN code. Let's say if I search if I search HSN code, let's say of pen. So we have HSN code of pen. Now this is for ballpoint pen. Then we have different fountain pen, separate HSN code. For felt tipped pen, for separate HSN code. So for every single pen, I have a separate HSN code, and for every HSN code, government has given us the rate of GST. So no problem at all to identify that what rate of GST will be applicable on my goods. So to classify the goods, we have HSN code, harmonized system of nomenclature, and for each and every HSN code, government has given us a rate of tax. Similarly, for services, we have a new scheme of classification of services. So all the common services are categorized in this scheme of classification of service, and for each and every service, government has given a rate of GST. Majorly all services are being charged at 18% only, but still we can refer the scheme of classification to identify that what rate of GST will be applicable on my service. So simply, how do we classify the goods and services? For goods, we use harmonized system of nomenclature, HSN code, and for services, we used scheme of classification of services. So by using these things, we can categorize our goods and services, and based on the category, government has already notified what rate of GST will be applicable on which particular category of goods and services. Okay, ma'am. What are the taxes that are now subsumed in GST? All the taxes that we discussed in the beginning of the lecture, that all these central taxes which were excise, service tax, countervailing duty, special countervailing duty, central sales tax, any other surcharge or cess that were applicable on supply of goods, luxury taxes, taxes on lottery, betting, gambling, purchase tax, advertisement, entertainment tax, all the indirect taxes that were being applicable on goods or services are now subsumed in GST, and now we finally have one nation, one tax. This is not very much important. What is important is taxes not subsumed in GST. We today have one nation, one tax, but still there are some items which are kept outside the purview of GST, which means GST is still not applicable on these items. First being alcoholic liquor for human consumption. See, understand. Can you tell me which government gets revenue from alcohol? Central government or state government? Today, if I manufacture alcohol, I need to pay excise duties and everything, right? So, which government will get the excise duty? Central government or state government on alcohol? Any idea, guys? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this, that which state gets revenue from alcohol? Everyone knows this, ma'am. State governments get the revenue from the excise. Alright. So when we were in talks to implement GST in India, of course the states would oppose. Why? Because states were at that point, and even today, charging high charges, charging high taxes from the people manufacturing alcohol. If we implement GST, there is a highest cap of the rate on which GST can be implemented, and also half GST will go to center, half GST will go to state, because GST is a dual model. So all the states were not ready to accept GST, only because they would lose on their alcohol revenue, which is a major source of revenue for state governments. So therefore, government said that, okay, listen, we need to implement GST. And for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of all the states to agree for them to implement GST, we simply said that alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the purview of GST, which means even today, excise duty is charged on manufacturing of alcohol, and VAT or CST is only charged on sale of alcohol, depending upon whether it is intrastate or it is interstate. Till today, GST is not applicable on alcohol, and it will never be applicable. Why, ma'am? We will study the charging section. Every act has a charging section which gives power to government to levy taxes. So the charging section, which is section 9 of GST, we will study some lectures further. The charging section itself only says that GST will applicable on all goods and services except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So unless we introduce a bill and amend the act only, currently, by the position of current existing law, It is written in the law only that GST will never be implemented on alcohol. GST was never implemented on alcohol. GST is currently also not being levied on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So GST was not applicable, is not applicable, and according to the scenario of current law, GST will also never be implemented on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. But understand, it is not any alcohol. If I am a manufacturer of sanitizer, alcohol is also used in manufacturing of sanitizer, but GST is applicable on that industrial alcohol. It is only the alcoholic liquor which is there for human consumption. On that GST is not applicable. Industrial alcohol, GST is applicable. So even today, if I manufacture alcohol, I need to pay state excise. If I sell alcohol, VAT for intrastate supply and CST for interstate supply. So alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside GST. The power to tax still remains with the states only. Tell me, is it clear to everyone? Yes, ma'am. Then next, we said, we saw these products and we said, you go and take a nap. We said, you all go and take a nap, which means today GST is not implemented on you, but we are in talks. On a future date, the GST Council will give recommendation to government and government will notify GST on these products. What are these products? We simply call them nap. We say, you all go and take a nap. You all go and take a nap, because today GST is not implemented on you. Whenever we decide to implement, we'll wake you up. So we have high speed diesel. H means high speed diesel. M means motor spirit. High speed diesel, motor spirit. Then natural gas. Aviation turbine fuel. And petroleum crude. So these are the 5 petroleum products. These are the 5 petroleum products where we say, you go and take a nap. You all go and take a nap. We are not implementing GST on you today, but the council will decide, recommend a date to government from which government will notify and make GST applicable on you also. Everyone with me, can you write the full form of nap? Yes, ma'am. Chaliye. With me, guys, come on. चलो रे लिखो ना फटाफट से. Nap. High speed diesel, motor spirit. Okay, I will also write along with you. Chalo. You all in the comment section and students watching in the recorded mode, please keep a rough page and pen along with you and scribble alongside. Chalo. High speed diesel, motor spirit. Natural gas. Aviation turbine fuel. And petroleum crude. We said, you all go and take a nap. You all go and take a nap. GST not implemented on you today, but GST will be implemented on you from a future date. So what is the difference between alcoholic liquor and nap? The simple difference is, today GST not applicable on both of them, but from a future date GST will be applicable on this. But as of now, no plans in future also to implement GST on alcoholic liquor. Do we understand the difference? Yes, ma'am. So we say that the nap products, which are high speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude, GST Council will decide a date from which GST will be applicable. Till then, manufacturing, excise and supply sale would be VAT and CST simple. So on today's date, only these two are the products which are outside GST. Completely outside GST, that on sale of alcoholic liquor and petroleum products, no GST is charged. Same to same earlier taxes that were applicable, excise and VAT are only applicable today also. Right, ma'am. What about entertainment taxes? Entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST. See here, taxes subsumed, entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST. But there's something written in this bracket here, which says that all kinds of entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST. All kinds of entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST except for the entertainment taxes which are levied by local bodies. If there is any local body which has power to levy entertainment taxes, that power still remains with the local body, means that local body can still continue to levy entertainment tax as it was levying earlier. Other than local body, no authority has a power to levy entertainment taxes, because all entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST only. Only the entertainment tax levied by local body still continues to be levied by local body only. Okay, ma'am. Real estate sector, which means sale purchase of immovable property. Also outside GST, we have stamp duties, property taxes, etc. applicable. Some of you might have a doubt that, ma'am, we recently purchased a property and we paid GST. How so? If the property is completed, if the immovable property is completed, GST not applicable. Let's say I'm staying in this house and I decide to sell this house as it is, GST not be applicable. But if there's a property under construction, you purchase the property from builder under construction, means the property is not yet completed. No completion certificate is issued for that property. There GST is applicable. So we can simply say for all the completed immovable properties or land, GST is not applicable, but for any under construction property whose completion certificate or occupation is yet to be done, their GST will be applicable. We are going to discuss this again in the chapter of supply, do not worry. Just giving you an overview here. In supply chapter, detailed provisions will come with respect to real estate sector. Done. Now talking about tobacco and drugs. As I said, there are only two items outside GST, alcohol and petrol. Other than that, GST is levied on everything. So on tobacco also, on sale of tobacco, GST is levied. On sale of Indian hemp, narcotics, opium, drugs, GST is levied. But on manufacturing also, excise is not discontinued. So earlier excise was being levied on manufacturing of tobacco, it still continues to be levied. On narcotics, hemp, drugs, etc., excise was levied on manufacturing, it still continues to be levied. But on sale, GST is also implemented. So it is not completely outside the purview of GST, but it coexists along with the excise system. For alcohol and petrol, completely no GST, only excise and VAT. But for tobacco and drugs, GST is there on sale, but excise is also there on manufacturing. Is this clear to us? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, everyone. Now that could be a doubt that, ma'am, where central excise and where state excise? See, entertainment tax, very simple. Local body's entertainment tax still continues to be levied by local body. All other entertainment taxes subsumed. Real estate sector, if it is completed land building, we have stamp duty, property taxes, etc. So outside the purview of GST. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption and NAP products, we say no GST at all. Means VAT or CST applicable depending upon interstate or intrastate. On tobacco and narcotics, GST is levied, but excise also continues to coexist. Now which excise? Central excise or sales excise? So we simply remember this by a technique known as नशे वाली चीज स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की होती है. What did you just now said? नशे वाली चीजें स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की होती है, means the intoxicating things are for state government. What intoxicates us? Alcohol. So alcohol, you will charge state excise. Drugs will intoxicate you. Narcotics, right? So here also state excise. The remaining two things which are not intoxicating, जो नशे वाली चीजें नहीं है, there we levy central excise. Ma'am, we also smell petrol. It is also intoxicating. That is your nasha, not a normal nasha, right? So we say that on petrol, on the petroleum products or tobacco is also not intoxicating, right? So we have central excise duties on that. But for alcohol and for drugs, which keeps you high, we have state excise. For remaining products, we have central excise. And here GST not there only, VAT and CST. But for tobacco and drugs, GST coexists. Tell me, are you able to understand, enjoy as well as remember? समझ आ रहा है, मजा आ रहा है, याद हो रहा है? Sorry, but this Hindi line I am definitely going to say throughout the lectures. समझ आ रहा है, मजा आ रहा है, याद हो रहा है, which means you are understanding, you are enjoying as well as you are remembering along with me everything. Tell me now. Yes, ma'am. Done. Yes, yes, yes. We've understood, we've enjoyed, and we've also remembered along with you. Chalo. So now, talking about the common portal of GST. For any problem that you are facing, every kind of dukh dard pida, any kind of problem that you are facing, we have one common portal for everything that you need, which is gst.gov.in. GST portal. Chalo. This is how the GST portal looks. The common goods and services tax portal, where you have everything. You have all the kinds of services, registration, payment, user services, refunds, e-way bills, GST law. Also, you will get direct links to all the barracks from here, which will take you to the CBIC website. Then you can download the offline utilities. You can search any person by using their PAN number, whether they are registered in GST or not, whether they are compliant in filing their returns or not. Then you can seek help with respect to anything that you need. You can also redirect yourself to e-invoice portal from here. You can redirect yourself to e-way bill portal from here. You can log in using your user ID, password, and then do all the further things that you need to do, which means for all kinds of services, right from return filing till making appeals to making refund application to receiving any kind of notice, everything is done on this common portal only, www.gst.gov.in. It is a website managed by GSTN. It is a Section 8 company. What do we mean by Section 8 company under law? It is a not-for-profit company. NPOs are basically dealt with in Section 8 of the company's law. And this Goods and Services Network, GSTN, Goods and Services Tax Network, manages the entire GST website. And it is the one-stop solution for all the kinds of problems that you face with respect to GST. Then particularly for e-way bill, which is for transportation purpose, that if I have to send my goods from one place to another, I need to accompany my consignment along with the e-way bill. To generate e-way bill, we have a separate website, ewaybillgst.gov.in. It is managed by National Informatics Center, Ministry of Electronics and Government of India. They all jointly manage the e-way bill website. It is a portal for e-way bill generation. And similarly, we also have a portal for e-invoice generation, which is managed by GST network only. So, einvoice1.gst.gov.in. Majorly, all the things can be done on the GST website only, gst.gov.in. Only for e-way bill particularly, we go to e-way bill website, and for e-invoice particularly, we go to e-invoice website. We have a full chapter named as tax invoice, where we will study about e-invoice, and we have another chapter named as e-way bill, where we will study what is e-way bill. This is just an introduction for you to understand that on which website you have to go if you want to do something related to GST. So this is the common portal of GST. Similarly, this is e-invoice portal. See, this is e-invoice system, e-invoice portal. So from here you can search invoice reference numbers, you can make e-invoices, check the details, check the statuses and everything. Similarly, we also have e-way bill website. So if we go to e-way bill website, this is how the e-way bill system of GST looks, right? See, it's with respect to all the transportation and everything. So these are the three portals that you can use to perform any of the function related to GST. Right, ma'am. What do we understand by the term GSP and ASP? Okay. Any one of you who has done articleship in GST, you have at least filed one GSTR 3B or GSTR 1 in your entire articleship duration. Anyone worked with GST in office? Then you would be 100% using a software. Like my office was using ClearText. Then we have Genius Tax, Easy Tax, Busy Tax, Spectrum. So any one of you who has worked in GST, yes ma'am, which software your company or which software your firm used to use? Pooja, Shubham, कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करते थे आप लोग? Which software? So all of these softwares that we use, which facilitate our return filing, which facilitates our compliances, reconciliations, are known as GSPs or ASPs, which is GST Suvidha Provider, Application Suvidha Provider. Yes, we have Spectrum. Spectrum is a very common software. ClearText, CompuGST, yes. So here, these people are registered with government. They are called as Suvidha. Suvidha means facility. Suvidha in Hindi means facility. So these facilitates the return filing, facilitates the compliance on GST portal. So what they do, they use some kind of an application. All of these softwares that you use, GST Hero. Okay, nice. There's a software known as GST Hero. Compute GST I know, Clear Text I know, Spectrum I know. Chalo, okay. So, these applications are being developed by the GST Suvidha providers, which helps the taxpayer to connect with the GST network. So, we say that GSP is an additional channel. GSP is an additional channel available for facilitating the taxpayers using some functions. Now understand, it is not compulsory. It is not that without any software you cannot file your return. You can directly go to GST portal, use their offline utilities and also file returns if you want to. However, using these softwares makes things little simple for us. So we say it is not mandatory to use GSP ASP. However, it is your will if you want to, then using their services is optional. You can simply, the GSPs develop some kind of applications and take help from application Suvidha providers who act as a link between taxpayers and GST. What they do, they help us perform some functions like return filing, monitoring compliances. They make reconciliations for us that whether our GSTR 2A 2B is matching with the purchase register or not. So these all kind of summaries can be drawn from them. You can simply check compliance that out of, let's say you have 500 clients, for which client the return filing is pending. If filed, is there any difference, or they will help you to file returns also using their Excel utilities and etc. So they are simply an additional link between you and the GST portal. An additional link between you and GST portal, which will make things simple for you. And it is not compulsory for you to take help of GSP ASP. If you want, you can directly go to portal and file your returns. If you want to take help of these applications, you are always open to do so. Right, ma'am. What is this compensation says? See, two kind of goods are the places where government can charge high taxes. One is luxury items, and another is sin goods or demerit goods. Like, people cannot say anything if government raise taxes here. Luxury items means let's say some high end kind of a car, a big sports car, a luxury car. Demerit items could include aerated water, could include pan masala, tobacco, which is not good for health, right? So government mostly charges extreme high amount of taxes from people purchasing luxury because they are rich, they can afford, and from people purchasing demerit or sin goods because government want to not promote these kind of goods. So when GST was being implemented, of course the state governments again had some problems saying that if you implement GST, what about these high taxes that we are collecting on these luxury and sin goods? Then government said, okay, no problem. What we can do is, for certain kinds of luxury goods and for certain kinds of demerit goods, we can charge additional compensation cess. Why is it named compensation cess? To compensate the loss of revenue arising to state government because of implementation of GST. Because of GST being implemented, they would lose on some revenue that they used to collect on these luxury and demerit goods, and therefore to compensate these losses, government came up with compensation cess. It was initially introduced only for 5 years. So government said that today we are implementing GST for 5 years on these demerit and luxury goods. The government can continue to collect these high amount of compensation cesses. However, this is now extended also. So 5 years are over. 2017 GST came, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 5 years were over in 2021. But compensation cess still continues till date. Every time they keep on extending the date of compensation cess. So simply we are saying, to provide for compensation to the states for the loss of revenue arising on account of GST implementation imposed on specific luxury or demerit goods, we have provided for this compensation cess, which is levied additionally along with GST on the supply of goods or services. Example, tobacco, pan masala, motor cars, aerated waters, etc. Say yes or no, everyone. Are we understanding? Before moving further to constitutional provisions, we'll simply take 5 minutes to revise everything that we have completed till now from the beginning of the session. So we started with understanding what is a tax, because we are studying indirect tax. So we need to first know what is a tax. Tax is a simple compulsory monetary payment that you have to pay to government. Why? Because government needs money to run the administration, and it is not any kind of a donation that you are giving to government. It is a compulsory payment that you have to give to government. Okay, ma'am. The two types of taxes, direct tax and indirect tax. Difference between direct tax makes you feel the ouch direct pinch of the tax. Why? Because you are the person paying the tax as well as you are only the person bearing the burden of the tax. Whereas in indirect tax, the person paying the tax will pass on the burden to some another person. Therefore, this person will not feel the pinch of paying taxes. He will give the tax to supplier, and then supplier will ultimately give the tax to government. We also understood the entire chain of taxes. So direct taxes are progressive in nature, means higher the capability to pay, higher taxes will be charged from you. Whereas indirect taxes are regressive in nature. So irrespective of your capacity, same taxes will be charged from every person. In India, we have dual GST, where center as well as state get the GST amount simultaneously, and the state which is the consuming state, the destination state, will get the GST amount. Right, ma'am. Genesis, we thought of implementing GST in 2000, then we came up with amendment bill, then that bill was passed into act, and then Lok Sabha assent, Rajya Sabha assent, President assent. By doing everything, finally on 1st July 2017, GST implemented in whole India except Jammu Kashmir, and on 8th July, GST implemented in Jammu Kashmir also. So today we can say that GST is applicable to entire India. Concept is very simple. On every stage, whatever is the new value added, GST will be implemented only on this new value added, and the same amount which is already charged by GST will not be again charged. Means every person will continue to get the credit of the taxes earlier paid, and the entire burden will be borne by the final consumer. There will never be a tax on tax under GST regime. Which are the states in GST? We have total 31 states, the 28 geographical states plus the 3 union territories, Delhi, Jammu, Kashmir and Puducherry. These 31 states we will charge C plus SGST, and we have all CD. Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Ladakh, Chandigarh, Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, and other category exclusive economic zone EEZ that we'll see later in the chapter of charge. So for these 5 union territories we are going to charge CGST plus duty GST. Which are the 11 special category states in India? No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. No asthma. No asthma in Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. 11 special category states in GST. Nagaland, Assam, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. Right, ma'am. For classification of goods, we have HSN code. For classification of services, we have scheme of classification of services. All the taxes are subsumed in GST, whatever indirect taxes were existing. But important is what is not subsumed in GST. Chalo, everyone will give me answer. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption, which taxes? Then high-speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel, petroleum crude. Tobacco, narcotics. Chalo, write 1, 2, 3 and 4. Entertainment taxes, we know that the entertainment taxes are subsumed in GST. Only the entertainment taxes levied by local bodies are still levied by local bodies only. Completed immovable property, real estate sector, no GST, stamp duty and property taxes. Now, ma'am, for alcohol, no GST. No GST on 2 products, means VAT and CST. VAT and CST for NAP and alcohol, no GST on these things. But on manufacturing, here we have state excise and here we have central excise, because for intoxicating items, for nashe wali cheeze, we have state excise, which means on narcotics also we have state excise, but GST continues to apply. Tobacco also GST, because this is not intoxicating, excise would be central excise. Say yes or no. Everyone remembers this. Yes, done, ma'am. Then we saw about the common portals, gst.gov.in, e-way bill portal and e-invoice portal. GST Suvidha Provider, Application Suvidha Provider, acting as an additional channel between the taxpayer and the portal to facilitate the transactions. And about compensation says. Okay. Now we understand the constitutional provisions with respect to GST. Again, keep in mind, not applicable for examination. I am repeating again and again because we have this habit of remembering everything. Whatever we study, we think like, okay, how am I going to remember this? How am I going to remember this? A, not applicable for exam. Today's lecture, you are not required to remember. You are just required to sit, relax, understand and listen. Okay, ma'am. So, Constitution of India has a preamble, of course, 25 parts containing 448 articles and 12 schedules. Now understand, government gets the power to collect taxes from Constitution only. Constitution grants the power to government to levy taxes. Today, if I decide that I will also charge tax from people, can I do so? No, because I don't have any constitutional power. Government can collect taxes because government has constitutional powers. Now in Article 246, we had 3 schedules: union list, state list and concurrent list, right? List 1, the 7th schedule to Article 246 has 3 lists: union list, state list and concurrent list. Means the taxes for which power remains with central government to levy is in list 1. Then we have taxes which can be levied by state government, list 2. And then we have some criminal law and stamp duties which can concurrently be levied by center and state. Okay, ma'am. So like whatever income tax you pay goes to central government, custom duty, excise duty, CST or any other not covered in 2 or 3. Then agricultural income taxes, alcohol, opium, narcotics taxes, VAT, VAT means here we have VAT and here we have CST. Then entertainment, betting, gambling, all of these goes to state government. Do you see GST here? Do you see GST in Article 246? No, ma'am. So, in 2017 or like from 2000 to 2017 when we were thinking to implement GST, there was a need to amend constitution, right? I said in 2014 we introduced constitution amendment bill. Why we introduced constitution amendment bill? Because according to constitution present at that time, Article 246 7th schedule, anything that is not covered in any of the list will automatically be covered in list 1. Which means going by 7th schedule, because GST is not there in list 2 and list 3, GST would automatically fall in list 1. Means if we implement GST without amending the constitution, the entire power to levy GST would go to union government. But we want GST to be a dual structure where center and state simultaneously levies GST. Do you understand what I just now said? If we would have implemented GST without amending the constitution, then according to 7th schedule of Article 246, GST would automatically fall in union list, because anything not covered here or here would fall in union list only, which means the entire power to collect GST would go to central government. But we wanted GST to be a dual model. And therefore, what was the need to introduce the constitution amendment bill? One, we had to integrate all of the existing taxes at that point of time. So, one was to integrate all the various taxes into GST. And second was most important, to empower center as well as state simultaneously to levy and collect GST. If we would not have amended the constitution and as it is implemented GST, it would have automatically fallen in list 1, which means the power would have been gone to central government, but we wanted power to be a concurrent simultaneous power. Therefore, we amended the constitution and introduced Article 246A, which now gives simultaneous power to parliament, which means center, as well as state legislature, which means state, to make laws with respect to GST. But there is one exception, that for all the interstate supplies, for all the interstate supplies where 2 or more states are involved, of course every state will have its own interest and that would result in conflict, and therefore for all the interstate supplies, to decide any matter with respect to place of supply, the power remains with center only. The power remains with parliament only. For any intrastate supply, C plus S both can take simultaneous decisions, but for any interstate supply, which will be the final state to receive the revenue, how IGST will be charged, everything. The power remains with Parliament only. So Parliament has exclusive powers with respect to interstate supply, because let's say two different states are involved. Every state will act in its own interest, and that would obviously arise conflict of interests. And to resolve all of those problems, we already gave the power only to Parliament with respect to interstate supplies to decide the place of supply. But for other than that, all the intrastate supplies, simultaneous power is there with Parliament as well as state legislature to make laws with respect to GST according to Article 246A. This was the article inserted via amendment, and then GST was implemented. Otherwise, GST would automatically have fallen in list 1 and the power would have been gone to the central government. Tell me you understood what I said. Is it clear to all of us? Yes, ma'am. Then there is also Article 279A with respect to GST Council. Again, not applicable for examination. I'll just give you an overview of the same. Anything that is done in India with respect to GST is recommended by Council only. See, there are a lot of duties that Council does, means these are all the recommendations that Council gives to government, that what should be, which taxes should be subsumed in GST, which goods or services should be taxed in GST, which should be exempted under GST. If we are collecting IGST under interstate supply, then how to apportion it between center and state, what will be the threshold limit. Let's say today if I make a supply only of 2 lakh rupees, should I take GST number? No. I think you would have heard somewhere, at least you should know this, that till 20 lakh, I'm not required to take any GST registration. For goods, the limit is 40 lakh, etc. So who decides all these threshold limits? Government notifies, but Council gives recommendation to government. Then rate of GST, some special provisions with respect to all these special category states that we studied. Special rates in case of some kind of natural disaster, calamities, other matters, and also the Council is yet to decide a date from which GST will be implemented on these high-speed diesel, motor spirit, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel and petroleum crude, right? So, all these matters are discussed upon and recommended by Council only to government, and then government comes out with official gazette notification, and then all of these things becomes applicable to the entire India. Right. So GST Council constitutes of 33 members in total. Compulsorily, the person who is the Finance Minister of India automatically becomes the chairperson of GST Council. So today, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, who is the Union Finance Minister of India, automatically becomes the chairperson of GST Council. So in GST, we have total 31 states, 28 geographical states plus 3 states, Delhi, Jammu, Kashmir and Puducherry with legislature becomes state in India. So every state will send its own one minister in charge, and which will form 31 members of the council. So minister in charge of finance or taxation or any minister nominated by each state will come, and this will make 31 members, and they will choose the vice president amongst themselves only. And then the remaining 2 members, one is chairperson, compulsorily the finance minister, and we have one union minister who represents all the 5 union territories. So union minister of state in charge of revenue or finance. So one we have chairperson and one we have union minister. So we have 2 members from the union and we have 31 members from 31 states who together form the 33 members of the GST council. See, the council is constituted by the president. The president constitutes GST council, but president is not a part of GST council. The finance minister is being a chairperson, becomes part of council. President only, president of India, constitutes the council but is not part of council. Part of council, 31 members from 31 states, one union minister and one chairperson who is the finance minister of India. Quorum. To conduct any meeting, at least 17 members out of 33 should be present. Only then the decision taken in any meeting would be considered as valid. So half of 33. Half of 33 comes to 16.5, rounding off to 17. Means at least 17 members should be there to constitute quorum under GST for a council meeting. How is decision taken? They say that there should be at least 3/4 majority of the members present and voting. Means 75% majority they want. But this is not simple majority. This is weighted majority, which means if let's say out of 33, there are total 20 members present and voting. 2 from center, and 18 from states, right? If both of these people say no and all of these people say yes, then you would think that 18 divided by 22, 18 divided by 20, there is a 90% majority, means decision can be taken. The answer is no. We say that 1/3 weight is given to the center only, means these two people, 20 into 33.333 percentage, which means 6, these two people are equivalent to 6.67 people here, means whatever decision they say will carry 33.33 percentage weightage, and whatever decision these people take will carry 66.66 percentage weightage. So 1/3 weight is with center at the time of taking decision and 2/3 weight is with the state at the time of taking decision. So here we will say that even if all of these people say yes, no, then also their weight will only be 66.67 percentage, and we need a 75% majority to take any decision. Means unless the one person, at least one person from from the center says yes, no decision can be taken, because center itself has 33.33 percentage power, and the state collectively, all the states collectively have only 66.66 percentage power, which is 2/3% of the power. So even if all the states say yes, only 66.67 percentage votes will be counted, which means we have not achieved the 3/4 majority, which means no decision can be taken unless the central government assents. Same applies if all states say no, only the two center people say yes, then also the weightage would be 33.33 percentage only, which means any decision would be collectively taken by center and state only. Then only we will be able to reach the 3/4 75 percentage majority. Say yes or no. Done. This is all. Here we complete the entire chapter of GST and Introduction in India. Majorly the chapter can be broken into 3 parts. One are the constitutional provisions. Second is all the small things, that which states, which is the common portal, then GST Suvidha provider, ASP Suvidha provider, compensation cess, and the third is the introduction part, that what is tax, when was GST implemented, what is the base of GST, all of that. So we have total 3 parts of the chapter: base or introduction of GST, small things, miscellaneous provisions about GST, and the constitutional provisions. However, this chapter is not applicable for examination, but you can just in homework read it once and keep these things in your mind, which will help you to understand further chapters even better. And done. Tell me, did you all enjoy today's session? Today, since it's a first class and we've completed first chapter, we'll keep it till here, only a small lecture. Otherwise, every day we'll have a almost 2.5 hours session. Chalo, did you all enjoy the classes? Quickly tell me. Dil dil, agag, bomb bomb, heart heart, bomb bomb, fire fire emojis. Yes, ma'am. Then see you all tomorrow, where we will start the first chapter officially from the syllabus. Okay, we will meet at same time, same place, everywhere, every day evening 7 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. Okay, I will make sure that all of you receive the books at the earliest if you have not yet received them. Also, you will receive a link for the Telegram doubt solving group that I mentioned in the start of the lecture. Please make sure to join that group for any of your doubt to be solved. Okay, Pooja, done. I'll share it by tomorrow morning. Chalo then, see you all tomorrow. Till then, take care and bye-bye.